This episode of the ZuLoo Podcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
Anyway, they were talking about some artists. They were putting on some, I didn't know menstrual art was a thing, but...
It's like so they use for paintbrush.
Yeah, it seems pretty. Paintings made with their menstrual blood. Okay,
wow.
Which seems like okay.
You weren't joking. I really just thought you were making a joke.
No. It talks about
that is legit.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Podcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey everybody, welcome to the ZuLoo Podcast. Super excited to have you with us listening in on the show today. We've got a great topic and another great guest. We've got Jack Sim on the show again today that we'll be talking to him a little bit later, and we're just so excited for our conversation.
And we've got Quinn
and
back.
We've got Quinn back. Quinn,
Wow.
welcome back.
Quinn, where you been, man?
I didn't know I wasn't on the last podcast.
We found Quinn like wandering around a supermarket, and we're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Nothing. Come on the podcast. And here he is.
I made
Here
it.
he is.
It
You've
was
made it
a
back.
big get for me.
So we got two headliners.
Yeah.
World Toilet Organization Chairman CEO Jack Sim and
Me.
Quinn.
Which I don't like to brag, about my pedigree. So I'm going to keep it under wraps for now.
I know you got big stuff coming up. You're talking about, before we went on, you're talking about big shows, big comedy, Comedy Central stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
They're dedicating, they're renaming the Empire State Building after me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So just, you got to hustle, you know what I mean? And
I know.
it seems like you guys are
What's
doing
the
that.
actual title going to be now? Quinn Pyre?
We weren't going to announce it. But
I was just taking a
secrets
guess.
out.
Spoiler.
Secrets out.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
When is this going to be released? Maybe we'll release it afterward. And then I'll be kind of like, oh, I already knew that.
They were going to do it on 9/12, the day after 9/11, just to have another fun day in September. Is what their plan was.
Okay.
So that's our plan. That's our goal, and we're repainting the whole building brown, like the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering if the ZuLoo podcast was giving a lift to your career. It sounds like it has.
Yes.
Because before, the last episode, you weren't talking this kind of lofty ideals.
Where do you think I was?
I know.
I was doing things like, I get stopped in public restrooms every day now.
They're like, hey, you're the ZuLoo podcast guy.
Yeah. Hey,
hey, you're the Quinn. Yeah.
You want to check this out? See if I'm healthy? I'm like, okay. And I'll go in there, and it's like a bonding experience. I've made a lot of friends on Facebook.
Doing a lot of Facebook Lives while you're in your own bathroom.
I had to make my page like a artist page now where people follow me. It's not even friend requests anymore. They just follow me.
Wow.
So yeah,
I think we've got
your Facebook link in the show notes, don't we?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a QAnon page. No, no, it's not.
A fundraiser. I think it's a
fundraiser. Yeah,
fundraiser for it. Well, Quinn, we're super glad to have you back. So
thank you.
Thanks for interrupting your grocery store run to come and join us.
Did you find everything you needed?
Got most
you
of
were
it.
Looking for
most of it. Yeah, I found olives.
Okay.
We're making a feta salad,
Oh.
a Greek salad. That's
Yum.
it. Greek salad.
Okay, that's a lot of ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're grabbing all those things because I watched. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which takes place in Greece.
Nice.
So I'm feeling Greek right now.
Good.
Feeling like philosophical.
Darren was supposed to go to Greece, weren't you?
We were gonna go to Greece, but we got canceled. Dang it.
Wow.
Another time.
What's going on?
COVID.
I know.
Wow. That's still happening?
Wife got COVID. I think she just sort of made it up, but
yeah.
I don't know how she faked the test though, because I don't know. She kind of swirled it in the toilet and then it came out positive.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right.
Man, maybe that's what my wife did.
She's not pregnant though. So
no. Oh, well.
Dang it.
That's sad.
Same test.
Keep praying.
Yeah, these are the tests for both. It's a test for everything.
You think is that all they did was take the pregnancy test and like, we'll repackage it as a COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's still pink.
Right?
It's the same thing.
It's same
like,
color, same double stripe.
If I were designing a COVID test, I would have it like, I don't know, some green blob would show up. Like make it dramatic. You know, it's just a little line.
No, I think I would do it on like, the magic 8-ball. So it's like, so then all of a sudden it just like pops up and it's like, try again. Or like,
you keep shaking it.
Or it's like the answer's within you. And you're like, oh, what is this? Could have
There could be a market for that.
Yeah, I think that's the future. Because
the next thing.
They haven't gone to like, they haven't made it fun enough. It's too like they're shoving things up your nose.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Well, shake a ball would be,
it could change someone's career path.
You could use it for other things.
Mm-hmm.
COVID test or,
pool ball for, it's fun.
Don't know why you're divulging all of your great business secrets on the podcast.
How do you think I got the Empire State Building?
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're allowed to talk about that success. I get it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right. Well, we're going to jump to our news minute.
Okay.
So
news minute, Puerto Rico. I told you guys I just flew in this morning from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Right. Puerto Rico is awesome.
I didn't know that.
That's why I'm so tan.
Wow.
Yep.
So we spent time in Puerto Rico. We did a project in Puerto Rico, a toilet project in Puerto Rico. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but we
just briefly, but not in depth.
It was still some Hurricane Maria after effects, like 5 years later, or is it 4 years later?
Wow.
5 years later. But we built some toilets there. But today on the podcast, I know we're going to talk to Jackson about menstruation issues.
Mm-hmm.
We probably need more women on the podcast, but we are talking about it. And that's okay, right? We can talk about it. Men can talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
But in Puerto Rico, a lot of people don't know that around 43% of people live below the poverty line, which is kind of...
It's a huge chunk.
Which is crazy. If Puerto Rico became a state, it would be at the bottom automatically, right? Mississippi would say, sweet, we're not the last anymore. I don't know if that's true. Sorry, Mississippi viewers.
I mean,
we're going to have to fact check Darren on
that. Fact check. It might be West Virginia.
They're not at
maybe
the top.
Not at the top.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be surprised though.
But because of that, this is a news article. We'll put it in the show notes. It talks about how many students in Puerto Rico suffer from issues related to menstruation because of the poverty level. And, if you go to Puerto Rico, you don't see it so much in the big city, because it's a modern city and, 2 or 3 million people and it's cars and planes. I mean, it's
very Americanized too.
Very Americanized,
Puerto Rico feels
very modern,
like
everything.
state.
I think it's more so if you travel outside of San Juan into some of these, I don't call them villages. I mean, it's not that
towns,
just smaller communities,
small towns, communities that really, electricity is a big issue in Puerto Rico, and the power grid is not the best, and it still has not recovered. And so part of the issue is electricity in the schools, and so especially in bathrooms, right? Because the power goes out and you're in the dark, right?
Yep.
It's not a place you want to be. And so a lot of these schools, this article is talking about it, a lot of high schools, the bathrooms lack electricity, stall doors that won't lock or no doors at all. I know what that's like.
We did talk about that on previous, but Yeah, no high school, no stalls, no bathroom in high school.
Bathrooms inundated with water, clogged sinks, or have no toilet paper. So these are like, you go to that sort of bathroom when you go to some of these smaller town schools, and they feel unsafe. And so especially when it comes to teenage girls and when they're menstruating, that's like the last place you want to go. And so they just stay home, and we've talked about this in other podcasts, how, women or girls staying in school is a big issue in other countries like India, or, they just drop out and they don't go back. That's, when they 10, 11, 12, all of a sudden where's all the girls? They're gone, because they're home. There's no place. And a place like Puerto Rico, you think, oh, well, surely they have, America. It's America, right?
Yeah.
It's American territory, almost a state. And again, this is not a negative thing about Puerto Rico. It's just, facts, right? I mean, at least based on this article.
I think even for our listeners, a lot of people get Puerto Rico confused with Costa Rica, thinking which is fair, but Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States.
Absolutely.
So it's...
And everyone there are U.S. citizens. And it's crazy to think, okay, in America, right?
Yep.
Land of the free and first world, everything, right?
Yeah. Very prosperous.
We have a territory
that 43% of its population
is below the poverty line, right? Yeah. Okay, well, why is that? And then, there was actually I was actually reading Rose George's book on the plane today, coming back, and she was saying about there's 1.7 million Americans don't have access to a toilet.
Yeah. That's
which
crazy.
Is kind of crazy. You think, toilets are everywhere.
Yeah.
But not everywhere. So there's certain areas, and Puerto Rico is one of those. And ZuLoo's doing just a little bit. I mean, we haven't done a whole lot, but we have been doing some toilets in Puerto Rico. But anyway, you can read more about the article. But basically, it is an issue, and it's all related to bathroom conditions. There are a bunch of people that aren't taking action, and they were, number one, highlighting the issue, and also, helping raise it to the awareness of the general public, and also obviously school administrators and all of that. Some of these organizations are doing things like, doing workshops on menstruation, and just because I think you were talking about how oftentimes it is a cultural thing, and
I think in Puerto Rico, right, in Puerto Rican culture, it's still really taboo to talk about.
It is a very conservative culture, in a lot of ways, right? So. Anyway, they were talking about some artists. They were putting on some. I didn't know menstrual art was a thing, but
it's like so they use for paintbrush.
Yeah, seems pretty. Paintings made with their menstrual blood. Okay.
Wow.
Seems like okay.
Sign
you weren't joking. I really just thought you were making a joke.
No. It talks about it.
That is legit.
They went.
So
I'm pretty grossed out. I maybe shouldn't be, but I am a little bit.
Well, again, I've seen. Yeah, I think it was in Paris one time, and they had some feces type art exhibit where they had made art.
I guess whatever medium is your.
I'm not an artsy. I'm not an artsy guy. I'm not an artsy person. My wife's an artist, but I don't think she.
And
was.
I thought that was her painting.
No. Yeah, she only does watercolors and.
No. Clean watercolor.
Is it just water in there?
But you do see sometimes artists to make sort of a dramatic statement.
Yeah, it is very dramatic.
They use because it gets attention. People start talking about it. Holy crap! Did you see that?
Literally
menstrual art exhibit? I mean, maybe it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to.
Is it in Puerto Rico?
Here, blah blah blah. I guess there's the Instagram post about it. Anyway. This article is.
This article is filled with gems. It's a large article.
It is a long article.
You know, we should have
talk a lot about it.
We should have just started with menstrual painting.
Yeah. Why do we wait so long to get here?
I know.
Right away.
It's at the end of the article. It's at the very bottom.
And why did
you got to read all this other stuff. Oh yeah, electricity. Okay, yeah.
Why did?
And then you get to the.
That's such. It's just bad writing, you know.
Yeah, they didn't pull us in
because they could have almost like littered it through the story.
I know. We'll probably do the teaser part about that.
Can we get the artist on the show?
I know.
Hey.
We really should reach out.
Hey, when I go back to Puerto Rico, I might look up. I might look them up and say, "Hey, we need you on the show. Bring on some art,
live demonstration." But it does make sense, like as far as like what they're trying to get across. Because I mean, Kelsey's immediate reaction was, "I think this grosses me out," and then you go, "That's what they're going for."
That was the idea, right?
That's the idea.
That was the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, check out the link to show notes, and maybe it does say there's some Instagram posts, so maybe you can gross yourself out if check out your the menstrual art.
And who knows?
It's not that they're painting with it. Well, hang on.
I mean, it's okay for you to think it's gross that someone's painting a picture with menstrual blood. I don't think that's crazy to say.
So this is what the artist.
I think you're right. Thanks for validating me. I appreciate it.
Not because I can't imagine the artist was like, "Oh yeah, can't wait to do this." Like, I think they were like, "There's a need for this."
I think it's the idea of collecting. Like, is it a female artist? Is it her menstrual blood? Is she like requesting menstrual blood from other women? It's that idea that's grossing me out.
She set up like a trough and was like, "Everyone come here." And then I've
got a solution.
They filled it up.
Oh man.
But
yeah, this is we were asking, I think before the show, how do you say it in Spanish? This is the exhibit, and this was back in September of last year. So
so it might not be there anymore.
It may not be there, but they may do it again.
Well,
but they is ciclica. How do you say that? Exhibition de Sagrado Libre. So blood exhibition of art.
Of Sangre Libre.
Sangrado Libre. Anyway, the comment. And we're probably spending too much time on this article, but
it's sensational, though.
It's hard not to talk about.
She says the artist, Molina Ortiz, taught the workshop, and she says here, transforming our menstrual blood into art is not only a revolutionary act, but also an emancipating act for all. It's like So she wrote on a post on Instagram.
So it was a workshop she held.
So I think they are. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
So
here, collect your menstrual blood, and then use it to paint something.
And now you're free.
I'm curious to now go check it out because
I've got some friends who'd probably be willing to do that.
I'm wondering if it's good though.
I'm serious.
I don't doubt.
I think if I proposed that to a few of my girlfriends, they'd be like, "Let's do it."
Wow.
Not that I would.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But maybe we will, and I'll report back. I don't know.
And all of a sudden, you're kind of starting to flip. You're first like, I'm grossed out.
And now you got your friends doing a project.
I know. I'm just thinking of some friends who would be like, they would feel really liberated and empowered by that. So there's an audience and a point.
Well, tell them to watch the podcast and then subscribe.
I do.
And like us.
Yeah.
And then maybe they could paint us a mural.
And then send us your menstrual.
We'll put up their artwork in the back here.
Send us your menstrual art and we'll highlight the best one on the show. I'm thinking you've got to combine it maybe with some other mediums, I would think, because it would all be the same.
No, it's like watercolor. You just water it down.
But it'd be different shades of red. I mean, because blood.
But then it will turn brown.
When it dries, it's not going to be red. It's going to be brown.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you could paint with paint with your poop, and it'd be the same result.
I'm into it. I want to see a true menstrual artist. I don't want.
We need to have some artists on the show because I don't think. Well, you're sort of an artist.
Yeah,
but your medium's more in.
I paint with words.
You paint with words, and
yeah,
but you like the shock effect, so.
I understand what they're going for.
Yeah, you could find some. You've got some friends. So
do you have? She has friends.
None of my friends would do this.
Yeah,
that's good.
That you haven't asked yet. You don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
You got friends in Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows?
Anyway, I think we're running late for our call with Jack. So
Yeah, we got Jack Sim.
Yep.
Jack Sim is on the line, knocking on the door.
He's gonna talk to us a little bit.
We're going to talk to him about it and
Yeah.
how his thoughts. Maybe not about the art, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Singapore they're doing menstrual art, but Puerto Rico pushing the envelope here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Go Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we're rooting for you, Puerto Rico.
Okay, hopping on our call with Jack. Can't wait to talk to him. Hi, Mr. Sim. Welcome to the ZuLoo Podcast again. We're so excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us again.
It's Mr. Toilet.
Mr. Toilet, excuse me.
Mr. Toilet, sorry. Mr. Toilet, we have to be formal.
Yes.
Love it. Well, welcome.
Yes, I am Mr. Toilet. I'm speaking to you from Singapore.
Welcome from Singapore.
Good morning. Good morning in Singapore. How's Singapore this morning?
Well, everything don't change in Singapore. The weather is the same throughout the year. The government has been the same since 1959. So it's a very stable place.
Okay.
Hey, you don't have to worry about what crazy things going on at the Capitol, right? It's pretty consistent, right?
Yeah. And another consistent thing is that everybody goes to the toilet 6 to 8 times a day.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Hey, well,
Awesome.
we thought today we might jump into the topic of women's health and menstruation with you. I know in our last conversation we'd kind of dipped into that topic, but we were hoping to chat with you a little bit more about that today.
Okay.
All right.
Ask me anything because I know everything except those things I don't know. The rest, all I know.
Love that catchphrase. Awesome. Well, first of all, I mean, just to get our listeners really familiar, we're hoping that you can sort of outline what are some of the challenges that women face when it comes to the global sanitation crisis?
So menstrual hygiene is still a very unspoken subject, and people feel very uncomfortable talking about bleeding, changing napkins. And so in the developed world, it's unspoken, but at least you can just go to the shop and buy sanitary pad and use it and dispose of it after that. But there are 2 billion people who don't have a toilet. And so if a girl go to school and they cannot have access to a toilet when they're having their period, they don't go to school because there's no privacy. You can't change the sanitary pad in front of other boys.
Right.
So if they drop out of school after a while because they can't catch up with the lessons, they stay illiterate and the poverty cycle continues. So this is one example. There are also a lot of taboo about when you are having menstruation, you should lock yourself together with the cows and don't come into the house, and you're not clean and all this stuff. So there are a lot of taboo to break in folklore in many cultures.
Yeah, I was one question I had just in preparation for
and the other
talking with
thing
you
is
again.
that people don't have money for buying sanitary pad.
Yeah. Well, in all of your world travels and in your world discussions with different cultures and peoples, the follow-up question that I have is how do you see menstrual hygiene managed across different cultures? How does it vary? What similarities do you see? I'm curious to know because you're a big world traveler. You've been a lot of places. You've talked about this with a lot of different people and groups of people. Give us your experience.
So one of the differences is that in Western culture, probably girls can talk among themselves and they still don't talk to boys about it. And mothers should talk to their daughters early so that they don't get a shock, right?
Yeah.
And yet in the poverty places, they don't even have the money to buy the sanitary pad. So you are talking about using old newspaper, rags, all kind of things, the mud, straws, the skin from the maize, from the crops, and all this agricultural residual, and they're not very, very clean.
Right.
And if you wash the sanitary napkin cloth, and you got to hide it from the sun because you cannot let the other villagers see it. So very often it is not totally dry and sanitized by the sunlight. And so you get diseases spreading. So all kind of very sad. So what we need to do is actually to talk about it, to make it a normal subject. So just like going to the toilets was not considered speakable, was a taboo 21 years ago when I started the World Toilet Organization. And now more and more people can talk about it. And when they can talk about it, they address it. So we have World Toilet Day, 19th of November at the UN. And a lot of people now find it legit. But can you imagine 21 years ago, it was not legit. Now come to menstrual hygiene, it's still not legit. So we have to talk about it until it becomes normal. And in the past, with a lot of taboo, you have women liberation. Talking about women's rights is not legit. We can talk about slavery. Talking about freedom of the black people is not legit. And in fact, nowadays, it's still not free because we didn't talk about it until quite late recently.
Right.
And so you have this Black Lives Matter issues and all that. So I think talking about problems makes them legit, and we have to do that.
Is Singapore pretty open, like culture-wise, to talk about toilets and menstruation, or does it still have a ways to go in Singapore?
Singapore is an Asian culture, so it's still like the rest of the world. It's not common to talk about it, but at least it is not very taboo, like in, let's say, in the Middle East or in the India and in many other countries where there are a lot of stories that prevent people from talking about it.
Right.
But the good thing is that there are activists now all over the world promoting menstrual hygiene. And I think this subject, just like every other taboo in the past, is in the process of being broken. And I hope the listener at your channel, ZuLoo, would help talk about it, tweet about it, do your social media, send information. And the more we talk about it, the more it becomes normal. In fact, it is normal. I mean, you can't even avoid it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was telling Kelsey the other day about how when we first started ZuLoo and talking about toilets, how I was just super interested in toilets and just based on my own experience, and I hadn't really realized the impact on women that toilets have. It wasn't in my consciousness as to that was a thing. I was thought, oh, toilets are for number two, and that's it. But now I'm seeing that it's more of an issue that toilets can also help with women's issues with menstruation and all of that. So that was like a new frontier. Like, okay, wow, that's makes toilets even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also in your experience, what does like menstrual health management look like across the globe? I mean, are people, maybe this is not the best question to ask you, but even like in Singapore, I mean, I know what Western American women most likely do, right? But how in Singapore is women's menstruation sort of managed? How do women and girls deal with that with school and with work?
Singapore is, I think in Singapore is just like any other highly developed country. It's an OECD country, but it doesn't want to join OECD membership, right? Because it's got so many rules. I think that schools have good program, and then parents are also taught to teach their children about it. Um, there are many types of sanitary solution for menstrual hygiene, and most common is the sanitary pad. But there's also the Venus cup and Moon cup and Ruby cup. Those are silicone cups and tampons. And these are not very culturally acceptable in the East because it's something to do with virginity and inserting something into the vagina and all that. And many girls also don't like it themselves. Whereas if you go to Africa and towards the Western Hemisphere, then you'll find that it's not a problem. They can adopt it. And of course, the cost of having a silicone cup is much cheaper as long as you can keep it clean and sanitize and wash it with clean water. And if you don't have clean water, then that actually gets contaminated. Yeah.
Right.
So there are different tools in different countries according to their belief system.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading recently an article about menstrual cups and how somebody was proposing that was the end all be all answer to helping women across the globe manage their menstruation. But just as you say, if you don't have clean water, right, to sanitize that, or you can't display it in sunlight to let the sun sanitize that, well, that doesn't solve anything. It might help with the financial side of things, but it doesn't help on cultural ends or health ends in a long-term perspective.
Yeah, every time you want to solve a problem, you do not judge that this is the way. You know, you cannot be prescriptive. You can give options, and then you have to have dialogue with the person who is going to use it, the customer, and then they use according to what they think. You know, the same thing as America going around the world to say our type of democracy. It works. When we look at it, it doesn't work. So please don't give it to us. Right?
True.
Yeah, some would say that's how it was designed to not work. But no, that's awesome.
It's supposed to work, but it's not working.
Awesome. Well, hey, last time we spoke to you, you were telling us about Tokyo and the World Toilet Summit. Do you have any new updates or anything? Is that still on the calendar? World Toilet Summit?
Yeah, it was on the World Toilet Summit was on the calendar in 2020, and then it was canceled for China, actually in preparation for this year Winter Olympics. So we were supposed to do it in Hubei, and the budgets are there. And so that's no more. Then last year, 21, we are supposed to host it in Tokyo to bring the whole world to learn about the Japanese toilet culture.
Okay.
And the budget is allocated also by the Japanese government, but because of COVID, it's now postponed. So the budget is still there.
Oh, so it may be.
And we'll have the World Toilet Summit.
Still maybe in Tokyo, but maybe this year, maybe. It might be 2022.
Yeah, we have to watch maybe towards the end of this year. This COVID thing is making everything so hard to plan. But life goes on, and we go online, and we created a lot of World Toilet colleges in India, 6 of them online, and it works. Yeah.
Okay. You might do a virtual World Toilet Summit, maybe. Is that the idea? Or like a virtual summit? Or are you just still wanting to do get actual meeting in Tokyo?
I think it's needed for physical meeting, because if you want to see how the Japanese are doing it, it has to be experience. The moment you go there, you believe it. Virtually, it's not possible to bring you for a tour and see the train station, how it's clean and all that.
Right.
By the way, last year was our 20th anniversary.
Yes.
And I'll send you a link to our 20th anniversary book, and everybody can kind of download it and read about all the work we've achieved as a movement over 20 years. And you know, the last 20 years has changed so much from nobody talking about toilet and calling it a water agenda to it becoming a very important UN agenda inside the 17 SDGs. So I'm very glad that these are all happening.
Yeah.
And last year, the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow also gave me an honorary doctorate degree for 20 years of work. Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Somebody asked me, is Jack Sim a doctor? And I'm like, he should be a doctor, but now you are a doctor. That's
call you that.
That's great. Congratulations. And congratulations on the 20-year anniversary. That's fantastic. You know, super awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, great. Well, we'll definitely look forward to hearing more about the World Toilet Summit. Hopefully that happens, you know.
Yeah. We definitely want that to happen. Our hopes are with you. Anything we can do to move that forward, please let us know, because we would be on board to.
Yeah, we're definitely wanting to come and meet you in person, and let's go check out some cool Japanese toilets in the train station. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm down.
and also test out the ones in the hotel where it sprays water on your butt and have a wonderful experience cleaning your butt.
Oh, yeah. I look forward to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Clean butts are the best.
Oh, Mr. Toilet, it's been so wonderful to have you on the podcast again. We've so enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for educating us yet again a little bit more about sanitation issues. And we'll chat later.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Jackson.
That was great. I was great in that one.
Quinn was in the background.
Right when you guys were like, oh, we're so happy to have him back.
We're like,
but we're booting Quinn.
Yeah.
Quinn, you can't fit. We can't fit both of you on the camera at the same time.
They don't get to ask the interesting questions. You guys didn't even ask him what his favorite food was, or does he?
Well, that's going to be the in person. When we go to the World Toilet Summit, hopefully
out to dinner.
Okay. Yeah. Just saving those questions for in person.
Everybody pray for World Toilet Summit, Tokyo. Hopefully this is the year.
And pray.
I know. I would love to get to know.
We kick COVID's butt and we go to World Toilets. That's the goal.
That's what we're doing.
That's the goal.
So you had something you wanted to.
Yeah, we have our very first, I think, product spotlight. No, second. Because Who Gives a Crap we did on a previous episode.
We're always promoting Who Gives a Crap. They're always in the background.
They are.
Yeah, it's festive.
Who Gives a Crap? Our best buddies. So that's a given. But yeah, what do you?
But we did want to just highlight a different product relating to women's menstrual health, and that is Pixie Cup. The reason that I've chosen this product is because for every cup purchased is a cup donated.
I thought you were going to pull one out.
Oh, I know.
No.
Where is it? Do we have it?
I don't even think this company exists.
You know what? Yeah. For sanitary purposes, and
you were going to bring one out,
and I didn't want to bring my own cup. So
okay. We'll have to do it.
I don't actually personally use a Pixie Cup.
I do.
I use a different brand, but Quinn uses the Pixie Cup.
I don't believe that.
I got video.
But they're awesome.
Yeah.
Particularly because every cup purchased is a cup donated to a woman in an impoverished country who could use that. So
I love that. I've heard of them before. Mm-hmm. We should totally have them on the show at some point. But I think we should maybe. I don't think I've ever seen one, but
a menstrual cup or a Pixie Cup in general.
I don't think. Well, either one.
Yeah,
I don't think.
The design is pretty standard across all.
I could maybe Google it, but it'd be better if you just bring one.
Okay.
All right.
We will hope then to have them on the show later on, but check them out. We'll link to them in the show notes
Great.
below. And thanks for joining us on today's episode. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Podcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@ZuLoo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Podcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.